Hi you guys and welcome to my channel. I'm back with a new reaction video and you guys are requesting me to check out some basketball here. This video is called The Giant Kid Who Could Change the NBA Forever, and in the thumbnail it's a French player. Let me see, La France, and it says giant, and then he passes 7 foot and up to 8 foot. Like, I don't know how much that is, so I had to convert it. So this is over 2 meters, which is insane. So 213 and then up to 240. That's insane. It's huge. So I think this video is gonna be about this France kid who's a giant. So yeah, I'm not gonna ramble or anything. Let's get straight into this video. And by the way, I am 5'2" because I said the wrong in one of the old videos. I think I said I was 6'2", but I'm 5'2", 160 centimeters. Alright, let's go.
The best prospect I personally ever evaluated
is a once-in-a-lifetime type of talent.
It's really not fair. One kid can have so much talent.
Simply put, he's a generational talent, described as literally one of the best NBA prospects ever.
He's a unicorn.
People don't talk about him like he's a future all-star. They start the conversation with future MVP.
That's some pretty high praise for an 18-year-old who hadn't even played an NBA game yet. Except these remarks are not about LeBron. All of these comments are about the 2023 draft prospect, Victor Wembanyama, a player who scouts are saying might just be the best NBA prospect of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Except there's
look
just
at the
one
comparison
thing scouts are forgetting.
And I just want to say that those other players are tall.
Today's video is sponsored by Keeps.
Yeah, not doing that. He making tall guys look good. Then you know he's tall.
7 feet 3 inches or taller. Yao Ming, Ralph Sampson, Rick Smits, maybe Arvydas Sabonis. I'm sure a few names come to mind, but only a few. And that's because even in a league full of giants, there just hasn't been many players this tall. In fact, throughout the NBA's 75-year history, there have only been 26 players who were 7 feet 3 inches or taller.
Insane.
Of those 26 players, only 3 of them are currently in the NBA,
Over 2
and
meters.
only 3 others made the Basketball Hall of Fame. See, despite size and length being one of the most valuable assets in the game of basketball, there is such thing as being too tall for the game. At what point does a player have too much height? Well, if history tells us anything, it's that the threshold is about 7'1". I know, it's a rather specific number, but time and time again, we are shown that anyone above 7'1" is bound to have significant, if not career-ending injuries and health issues due to their incredible size.
Yeah.
Out of these 26 players, really
so
only about 7 of them went on to have notable careers. And of those 7 players, 5 of them either missed entire seasons due to injuries or had to retire due to injuries.
Yeah.
You'd actually have a hard time finding more than a few players who were taller than 7'1" who didn't have careers plagued by injuries. There seems to be a specific limit to how big a player can be before their size quickly becomes a debilitating
teammate. That was a
detriment.
coach.
And I say all of this for one reason. This kid, 7 foot 3 inch, 18-year-old Victor Wembanyama, a player that possesses all the physical tools and skills to be a once-in-a-generation talent, but may just be too tall for his own good. Victor is already being anointed as the best NBA prospect since LeBron James 20 years ago, which sounds like a massive reach until you watch the kid play. See, over the last few decades, we've witnessed some of the all-time greatest NBA prospects get drafted. The kind of talent that has teams scrambling to lose as many games as possible to get. Shaq in 1992, Tim Duncan in 1997, LeBron James in 2003, and Anthony Davis in 2012. With talent of this caliber, there's never really any debate as to who's going #1 overall. In fact, in some cases, if these prospects were available for the draft sooner, they would have gone first overall before they were even eligible. Ron Artest is on record saying LeBron could have played in the NBA by the time he was just 15 years old. Former NBA player and longtime NBA exec Danny Ainge said, "There are only 4 or 5 players in the NBA that I wouldn't trade to get LeBron right now." This was back in 2002, when LeBron was a 17-year-old high school junior. Of course, not all ultra-elite NBA prospects are ready to make the jump right away. A few years ago, Marvin Bagley was far and away the best recruit in the class of 2018. So to expedite his journey to the NBA, he reclassified to the class of 2017 and was still the #1 recruit in the country. But despite his glaring talents and NBA readiness at such a young age, he has yet to make a real impact at the NBA level. Because no matter how incredible a young prospect is, in the world of sports, there is no such thing as a guarantee. But rarely, maybe once or twice in a decade, a prospect comes along and nearly reaches that unattainable status. The 2023 NBA draft will feature one of these generational prospects in Victor Wembanyama. Victor has been in the spotlight for quite a while now. And not even 24 hours after the 2022 NBA draft, attention already began to shift to next year's draft and the ultimate prize, the 2023 NBA draft, informally being labeled as the Wembanyama sweepstakes. By now, most of y'all have probably heard of Victor or seen clips of him playing. The first thing that stands out is his absurd height and length. 7 feet 3 inches tall with a 7 foot 10 inch wingspan. For some perspective, here's 6 foot 4 inch 2022 NBA draftee Jaden Ivey. Here's 7 foot 1 inch Chet Holmgren. And
He must have
over
some
here
Swedish
is Victor
Holmgren.
Wembanyama, making Chet look like an undersized shooting guard. But many scouts and onlookers have said that Victor isn't 7'3". He's actually closer to 7'5", which just sounds like a bunch of speculation. But you see this guy right here? This is Zach Edey. Zach's official listed height is 7'4",
Oh
and
my
Victor
God.
is a giant. But his incredible stature isn't nearly what makes him a potentially generational talent. It's what he does with it. Quick feet,
exactly.
even quicker hands, agility that is visually startling for a player of his size. Despite being a skyscraper, he can take defenders off the dribble with an explosive first step or use an arsenal of moves to
Putting in
create
work.
separation in ISO situations. The kid is 7'3"
nice
and
assist.
can create shots for
For
himself
three?
anywhere on the court. Similar to Kevin Durant, his high release on his jump shots makes them virtually unguardable. Although he's not nearly the
how they
outside
gonna
shooter
guard?
Durant is,
Come on.
but he does have an inside game far beyond his years, where he uses a variety of combinations involving
You got a
spin moves,
vision,
pump
though.
fakes, and fadeaways, which keeps the
See?
defense in a constant state of gambling, like a perpetual game of choose your poison. Ultimately, at the moment, his strengths are in the open floor and on defense. With his speed, quick reaction, and size, Victor is virtually an automatic
They look
bucket in
creative.
transition. He has the situational awareness and athleticism to create transition opportunities out of thin air. And on defense, he already possesses world-class instincts and timing, and his insane length allows him to seemingly be in 2 places on the court at
Just
once.
one step
However,
ahead with that
Victor,
length.
just like every other prospect that came before him, does have his weaknesses. But all of these weaknesses are things that, with the right development, can be solved. His slim frame, his shoddy decision-making at times, gambling on defense and relying on his length to make up for it, the usual weaknesses of most young mega talents. But none of that matters, because Victor isn't just the presumable #1 overall pick in the 2023 NBA draft. He's the draft pick of the decade. According to SB Nation's Ricky O'Donnell, the last prospect this big, this fluid, and this comfortable with the ball in his hands might be a young Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. One anonymous
That was in
NBA
the
scout said,
60s?
Victor can be Gobert defensively, Porzingis offensively, with Jokic-like passing skills. Another NBA scout said, when you see something you've never seen before, it can feel like your eyes are playing tricks on you. And many other scouts shared this same opinion, most of them struggling to even come up with an appropriate comp for Wembanyama. Since, quite frankly, there's never been a player like him in the history of the NBA. Last summer, Victor faced off against Chet Holmgren during the U19 FIBA World Cup final. And despite Victor being a year younger than Chet, one NBA scout said, "Never have I seen Chet Holmgren overshadowed physically
Wow.
like he was last year whenever the two met." Just off of sheer potential, Victor is one of the most sought-after prospects we've ever seen. But there's just one small catch these scouts are missing. Actually, it's one massive 7'3" catch. Victor's too damn tall. As we previously touched on, the history of extremely tall and sustainably great big men is very, very short. No matter how talented a freakishly tall player is, no matter how enticing their physical tools are, at a certain point, all that height will eventually become a detriment to their game.
And it don't matter that time have changed.
This
I was
trend
thinking
of
with
injury-prone
medical.
ultra big men has become so prevalent
This is just
that
the nature
it
is the
isn't
same
the
with tall.
exception. It's practically the rule. Believe it or not, there are only 5 active NBA players who are taller than 7 feet. And of these 5 players, only 3 of them are taller than 7'2". Kristaps Porzingis being easily the most talented of the 3. But outside of an injury-riddled Porzingis, who is the last player taller than 7'1" that made a real impact in the NBA? Stop, don't even bother trying to come up with an answer. It's Yao Ming, who had his last all-star caliber season nearly 15 years ago. Which means that this century has featured two players, 7 feet 2 inches or taller, who played at an elite level. And both of them have had their careers derailed due to injuries. It's virtually inevitable. Since the 2000 NBA draft, here are the percentages of games missed from lottery picks sorted by height. Throughout these 3 height ranges, there seems to be no correlating factor between height and injury. Generally speaking, players ranging from below 6 feet all the way up to 6'11" experience injuries at a very similar frequency. But lottery picks from 7 feet to 7'1" have missed 26.2% of all their potential NBA games. This is a staggering amount. Now, I would add another height range of 7'2" and above, but there just hasn't been enough NBA prospects in that height range.
Exactly.
The last time a player that tall was selected with a lottery pick in the NBA draft was Kristaps
And then it's a
Porzingis
very
in
small amount.
2015.
So all those
Before
numbers,
Kristaps,
if you
you
think
have
about
to
it.
go back to 2009 when the Memphis Grizzlies drafted 7'3" Hasheem Thabeet with the 2nd overall pick. 1 spot ahead of James Harden, 5 spots ahead of Stephen Curry, and 7 spots ahead of DeMar DeRozan. Hasheem stayed relatively healthy but spent 5 seasons bouncing around to numerous teams and finished his career with averages of just 2 points and 2 rebounds on 10 minutes per game. But believe it or not, Hasheem Thabeet actually holds an NBA record for the tallest and highest drafted player to ever be sent down to the D League. I swear I'm not making that up. That's a real fact. And to find the next absurdly tall lottery pick, you have to go all the way back to the 2002 NBA draft, when the Houston Rockets drafted Yao Ming with the #1 overall pick, who, to my estimation, is the greatest player over 7 feet 2 inches in NBA history.
You guys say, is it allowed to compare him? No disrespect.
The only thing bigger than he was were the standards put upon him coming into the NBA, and he lived up to that standard. But unfortunately, the height that made him an unstoppable force on the court was also the cause of his retirement smack dab in the middle of his prime at the age of 30.
Oh, really?
Finding a
That's
young,
when his career
talented player
ended?
with this much size is a feat in its own right. Finding a young player with this much
How
size
old
with
is he?
the
Anyone
expectation
else?
that he has a
Comment down
long and
below.
healthy career would be nothing short of a miracle. To say the odds are stacked against this young man would be an understatement. We've just rarely seen any player pull it off. But that's the thing. Victor isn't like any other player. He can protect the paint like Gobert, create offense like Porzingis, run the floor like Giannis, and pass like Arvidas, all in one package. With a talent like this, teams will gladly take all the risk for a shot at the ultimate reward. If he can stay healthy, Wembanyama has the opportunity and the skills to be a player unlike anything the NBA has ever
One-on-one,
seen.
literally.
With that being said, let the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes begin.
Oh, wow.
Gladly
Have
take
you guys heard about him? And he's from Europe here. But yeah, I definitely think that if he keeps this up, he's going to the NBA. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment what you think down below. Like it if you enjoyed. Subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Merci beaucoup. Au revoir. Bye.